Welcome to the 132nd episode of Sawdust Nation podcast with your hosts, Nat from Nap's Naughty Works LLC, Nick from NPG Creations, and myself, Josh from North Country Woodworking. Man, it's a new year. So welcome to the first episode of that year. And we're going to start off of hearing what's happening in Nick's shop. So what's going on, man? New year, new you, new shop? What's going on?
No, not a new shop. I'm still in the old shop. I haven't moved. I'm not moving. I'm staying in the same spot.
Yeah, I was more hitting on the new bright lights in your shop, but we can hit on that later.
Oh, well, yeah. I also got new lights in my shop. I put them up last night. It was like last minute idea. I had them for the shop that I was supposed to be moving to, but I didn't move to it. So I was like, I'm tired of all the damn shadows in my shop. Tired of all the shadows. I'm tired of especially when you're like using a domino or when you're trying to line something up like a super fine line, and it's at nighttime. If you don't have proper lighting, it can be bad. And also it's a safety thing too. So if you have proper lighting and everything's illuminated, for one, you're less likely to trip over something, or two, you're less likely to pull something off of a top shelf and get bonked in the head by those chisels you have stored up in on the top shelf. I don't know. I'm just saying. But next up, upgrading my fire suppression system in the garage, i.e. ordering 3 new, fire extinguishers. I'm having them mounted one on each wall of the garage. This way, I don't have to run across the garage if a fire breaks out on one side of the garage or the other. It's close by, and I will be able to combat the fire. But, knock on wood, that doesn't happen. Currently, I'm operating with 1 fire extinguisher, and I haven't had to use it yet. Knock on wood. I don't want to jinx anything, man.
I'll say so new year. I mean, 2022 held 1 fire in MPG Creations shop. So let's hope, but yeah, knocking on wood on my end too, that doesn't happen in 2023.
Well, I mean, I had a fire. I blew it out with my breath last time. But anyway, I've been working on a lot of different projects still, mostly small plaques. I have a shadow box, 2 shadow boxes lined up. One is a pro bono shadow box for the most part. It's for a good buddy of mine. He is retiring, and that will be underway shortly. I have another shadow box to do in the shape of a flag, like a Buccaneers flag. It's going to be in that general shape of their logo, but without their logo. Because I don't want to get sued by the NFL or a cease and desist letter. And I have 2 GPC orders to tackle in the next 3 months. So I'll be able to take those out pretty quick. It's all mostly acrylic work. But other than that though, shop's kind of clean now. Don't judge by the picture you saw last night on my Instagram. I spent some time in the garage afterwards. I just put the lights up and I was so ecstatic to have all that light, But anyway, what do you got going on there, Nap? I heard you got some stuff going on in your shop.
Yeah, so from last episode, I was busy over the New Year's. We'll talk about what we did on New Year's, not a whole lot, if anything. But was busy getting some jobs done, more or less just the job, so I could move on to the 2 big shadow boxes. I got to say, when you take a larger project like a shadow box, and those of you that have seen the shadow boxes that myself, Josh, and Nick have made, they're not small. They're relatively big. They're sometimes 3 foot by 2.5. Could be upwards of 4 foot. Those are fairly large projects, and actually they're fairly easy to work with. However, when you do take, and I did do this again, I said I wasn't going to, but money talks, and honestly, I could use the money for the business right now because business is slow. But I made 2 more of those chief painted shadow boxes. Now, mind you, process for painting got a lot better this time. I took a couple notes as far as how I wanted to finish them this time. Still a little things I got to work out as far as like smooth finish. Because again, pine and what I was using was not necessarily the greatest. because when you carve it, and depending on how you come up with the facades for these, you might have to fill some stuff in, you might not. Well, in my case, I went a little cheaper, I would say, on the material. I got something that was pre-joined, has like a veneer over the top of it, and it happened to have a couple voids. Not really a big, huge deal, but I ended up using Goodfilla. I think it's Goodfilla, Woodfilla, I think is what it's called. I forget.
Goodfellas?
It's Ryan. Yes, Goodfellas. So I use that. I use the non-tinted. It's the white filler, and I literally rub that all around the edges, all between the stripes. I think next time I just need to be a little bit better on the sanding and just checking for any, not deformities, but imperfections. So that way next time when I spray it again, I'll have the smooth finish. Now, something I found out during the finishing process is your color coat might not look great. Okay, like it might have a couple of those little waves, or it might have like a couple spots where it looks like you didn't fill in enough. Well, funny thing about clear coat, when you spray like 2 or 3 coats of stuff on there, it actually fills it in. Like, fills it in pretty good, actually. I use that polyacrylic, this rattle can, though. I didn't use the paint can. It was just the rattle can, the Minwax polyacrylic. And it filled in a lot of the stuff pretty well, and the finish did come out a lot better this time. But some things I learned on the back side of it. So typically I'll rabbit out the plexi with the router, or not the router, but the CNC. This time I went the route of, okay, I had a hard time lining the back shadow boxes up, or the boxes for the shadow box up, making them all the same. So I made a cutout, a very, very shallow cutout on the back of them. Okay, it worked. Here was the problem. The problem is when you are putting shapes together, or a box that you haven't made yet together, it's not going to fit exactly what you programmed. Now, I measured everything. Like, I went down to the T. Still, though, because of the way you cut the wood, whatever the case may be, whatever process you use, you might be just a little bit thicker, could be a little bit thinner. You have to do extra steps. I ended up just throwing that sucker to the damn drum sander, getting rid of that edge, and just replacing it. Just throw it on in there. But before I did that, I actually ended up doing the pocket holes. So I was able to line everything up, do pocket holes, but the box didn't fit flat against the facade. That's why I ended up getting rid of it, because it didn't fit the way I wanted it to. And I was like, yeah, I can't let that fly. So I just went ahead and drum sanded it, repainted the back of it, called it a day. But the plexiglass process has gotten a lot better. The last time it was a really, really tight fit, and I almost shattered a couple pieces because I was getting kind of PO'd that they wouldn't go in when they went in when I first started. I did a tolerance on it this time where I took like fractions of an inch off. So when I did paint, it accounted for that little extra buildup. So when I pushed it in, there was no resistance when pushing that piece of plexiglass in. So that was that. So that's for the shadow boxes. I picked up the trophy today from the one organization that I'm remaking the trophy for. And come to find out, I don't need to have this thing done until like May. Because they don't do maintenance professional of the year until May. And the load crew of the year is not given until then. So I have all that time, but I'm still going to get it done this week just because I don't really got much else to do but these other 2 big shadow boxes. The other shadow box I talked about last week, I got to do that KC-135, KC-10 makeshift chevron box, kind of like one of yours, Nick, but it'll just have the 2 planes pointed up like a Master Sergeant stripe with the Hail Hydro deal in the top, and then the bottom there'll only be 1 rocker, so I'm leaving all of it open. It'll just be 1 rocker on the bottom, plain rocker on the top with that symbol, and that's it. So this one's actually be relatively easy. I'm probably going to use your idea, how you said you rabbited out on the frame and put the plexi on it and then like adhered it, or put the facade on and it like didn't move at all. I'll probably do something like that. We'll see, because I'm worried about stability with how big the shadow box is, with how big that panel of plexi is. So I'm kind of going to play with that a little bit. I mean, there'll be a flag in there, so you'll have like the top quarter of it supported. So that other 3/4 should be fairly fine. I mean, it's worked in the past. I just hope it works out this time. What, Nick?
So making sure the facade sticks to the frame is a big deal. I've had that happen to where it was delivered and the facade came off, and Josh fixed it for me. For one, that was my fault because the glue I used was inadequate. It was set outside for too long or something. I don't know. But anyway, for two though, what I do when there's very little surface area to adhere the top to, the frame to the facade, what I like to do is I will add L brackets you can get at Home Depot for like $3 for 4 of them. And you can put them behind the facade and attach them to the frame with screws, and it will add stability and make sure that facade does not come detached from the frame at all. So just some food for thought. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
So actually, I do something not similar. I do something like it or similar. I guess it's the same thing. I do pocket holes. However, I do like this L bracket idea a little more because I don't have to worry about the possibility of the screw going through the front of the facade while I'm screwing it in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's actually
honestly,
a fairly good idea.
If you were to even, I've been toying around with the idea of just having a facade that is only adhered to the frame with L brackets, because it's a pain in the ass to enter the box from the back. Because then you got to worry about the felt and all that other crap coming undone on the corners and edges and stuff like that. It's just more of a pain in the butt. I think that honestly, it would probably be more beneficial if I started just doing the facade attached. And I would do more than a couple, but I would do the facade all the way around on each side attached with L brackets. This way, the customer can just unscrew it, pull the facade off, and then lay it back down and screw it back in. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying. You're making it to where instead of pulling the back out, they're pulling the facade off instead.
Yeah.
Instead of blowing the back out, you have to go in through the front.
Okay, on that though, and I know we're taking a little bit of time here on this, but I'm actually quite intrigued. So with this idea, it's a great idea, but here's my qualms with it. If you're doing L brackets, you got to make sure you have a good enough overhang on that facade, which
that's a design.
Kind of weird. It's a design thing, yes, but let's just say, okay, we'll go with the chevron, Master and chevron. You might not be able to do it with that one because of how tight that is. Now, then again, you make yours different than I do, so it might work with yours. Now, with the flag shadow boxes that you do, that's a perfect one to do it for because you can have as much overhang as you want with the flag and have the perfect box that goes behind it. So, I mean, I think it's all dependent on, I want to say, maybe the type of shadow box you make.
Oh, the L bracket too, size.
Yeah.
I mean, he's right. It's all about design. But I mean, like, I do like the idea of them only having to take a couple screws off and not having to deal with, a couple layers of stuff. And that's a nice, I wonder if we could find like a happy medium between all this though. Because I know for like my design, there's not much space. There's very little space around that. I try to give them as much as I can.
I mean, more power to you. It's not going to fail. If you put enough L brackets behind it, it's not going to fail.
No, I don't see it failing for sure. I mean, it'll be fine.
I also like to do this. So if before I started using L brackets, which I try to keep most of the hardware out, I like to use a lot of glue. But now I'm exploring that option because of customers saying like, hey, kind of a pain in the butt to get into the back, and then stick it back in there and then worry about it.
In that way too, if like I ship a lot, like the next to them shipping, I'm not putting anything in there. So they're going to have to take out the back. They put everything in, they put it in. If something's crooked, they got to take it back out. They got to mess with it, put it back in. If you did it with the L brackets, like you're saying, they're able to look at it like you'd be looking at it through the plexiglass, line it up, and then go ahead and put it on. So that's what I'm liking about it because it makes it easier for the client. I would just have to figure out how I would incorporate that into my current design.
See, I might do that for this one I'm sending to where he's at because of that particular thing. He was going to put his own stuff in there.
Yeah.
So that might not be a bad thing. Now, mind you, I do test fit the backer at least 10 times. I know it seems super redundant, but I know for a fact between people putting stuff in, checking it, taking it back out, because I've done it, I've made my shadow boxes a point now that they go in fairly perfect. Like, they slide in and out pretty easy. However, if they don't got to take the back bracket off, that's way better. And I might do that for that one, but there's another shadow box I got to make that I'm putting the stuff in. So I'm just going to do it from the back because that's just
do it from behind.
Easier for me. Yeah.
Whoever your preference is, I mean, as long as it's working for you.
Yeah, it works 95% of the time, 100% of the time, or 60% of the time, 100% of the time, whatever the hell it is. But anyways, so shadow boxes are
60% of the time, 100% of the time.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. But all that to say, getting down to the smaller stuff. So big shadow boxes are fairly easier to maneuver, easier to make. You get to the smaller stuff, the details start to become harder to make happen and make perfect, which there's no such thing in making. If anybody tells you it's perfect, they're probably lying. They're just really good at hiding it. That's really what making is. Making is at this point is you can do things as perfect as possible, but there's always going to be that one thing that's wrong with it that you were able to fix and hide, and no one else would know except for you. So it's just one of those things. But now with these, the paint, like I hate painting. They look fine. They look good to the person that receives them. They think they're, amazing. To me, I have a lot of work to still do on the finish. But that's the shadow boxes. Now, sourcing materials. Now, this is what I was going to get into with this USPS business. So with these shadow boxes, I had to source two things: military child medals and flags. I didn't think I was making these ever again, so I didn't source any more flags. But the military medals are different because I get certificates with them when I order these. Their certificates come complimentary. So I was like, well, those certificates are a nice touch. It's an extra thing to go with the shadow box, and it just makes it more professional. Those certificates and medals were sitting at the post office on December 29th. Okay? They tried, or quote-unquote attempted to deliver. Delayed for weather. It had snowed here in 3 days. The roads were fairly clear. And they delivered my other mail. Okay? So there's that. Exactly, Nick. Your face says it all. Okay? And then I had the flags, which are in a small Amazon package. Also in Minot, the 29th of December. Both of those things sat at the post office. Oh, by the way, with the rest of my kids' presents that also arrived. Well, actually, those arrived on the 24th, Christmas Eve, and they just didn't go off. They were supposed to go off for delivery that day, and they did not. So a lot of things did not move because of weather. What baffles me is we are in Minot, North Dakota, where the weather has probably not changed in a few decades. And you did not expect the weather to be crappy at some point in time in these months, let alone be prepared for that kind of stuff. Seemed kind of weird to me.
It happens all the time here.
It's ridiculous though.
It literally, we've been having our stuff delivered off base at the lockers and picking up because it's 2 to 3, maybe 4 days earlier than what we will get it delivered here. And we have Prime, and it's very common for them to be like on, let's say, Sunday or Saturday, be like out for delivery, and then say we couldn't deliver for whatever reason. Resident wasn't home, whatever. When we were home, I was in the shop and stuff like that.
And I watched your truck drive past me, douche.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where I feel you, man. It's because we had presents and stuff too that didn't get delivered till after. In fact, my wife bought me a birthday present that was supposed to be delivered before, and it was late, and it was. I hear you, especially around the holidays. It gets even worse.
Yeah, and what's crazy though is the shit was in Minot, well before New Year's Eve, and it was because of weather. But all it was the roads were a little icy, like literally a little icy. But they delivered my other mail. That made no sense to me. And they were small packages. Now I understand it's a big box. That box was pretty big that my parents sent. But the other stuff, I waited 2 extra days for this stuff, and I have to ship these tomorrow instead of me wanting to ship them today. They have to be there by January 10th, which plenty of time. As long as I ship them out of here. But if it were coming here, I'd be screwed. But all that to say is this. If you live in places where weather gets kind of crazy around certain times of year, order well in advance, because there could be that 2 to 3 extra days lead time that's added to you unexpectedly. But if you know what it's like in your area, like Josh, you've been in New Jersey for a while, so you know what to expect. I did not know what to expect. I do now. I will order well in advance for certain things. But if you are doing stuff like this and you have to source certain materials, either A, get extras right out the gate, or B, order as soon as you get the job, get paid immediately, and then start ordering the materials. Don't wait. Because I honestly, it almost kicked me in the butt. Good thing I got an awesome employee, also known as my wife, who went to the post office and had them go look for it, because they spent a whole hour looking for my stuff in the back of the warehouse. It wasn't even on a truck. They took my stuff off the truck because it couldn't be delivered and hid it somewhere, and it took them that long to find it. I probably wouldn't have gotten it today had she not gone and looked for it. So that kind of stuff. So that was my UPS woes. Nothing's broken, thankfully. Knock on wood, nothing is broken on this next one. And then I got a couple projects. I already mentioned the 2 other shadow boxes. I got the trophy that I'm finally getting to. That's really not due till May. And yeah. Oh, and I got 4 plaques for the CE that's just sitting right here waiting for him to pick them up when he's ready for them. I have 7 sheets of acrylic over there against the wall. They're 4 feet by 2.5 feet, courtesy of another maker in Colorado, I believe. I don't know why I get that one mixed up with something else, but Colorado, and he gets it for $1.50 a pound. So it's not by the sheet, it's by the pound. So I got 8 sheets of 4 by 2.5 for like $78. So I mean, with shipping, it breaks it down to like, I think it was like $8 or $9 a sheet. So
For acrylic?
Yeah.
What thickness?
1/8. Remember, it goes by pound, so I can get a bunch of
sheets. You get colors and all that stuff?
I paint mine, so it's all clear.
Yeah. Okay.
I wish you get colors.
So check it out, man. I am totally for painting acrylic, because that's how I started, and I had to figure out how to do it. And I know how to do it, and I will do it if I can't find the color I need, because it is a pain to be working on a project and you have painted acrylic and you jack something up or you run out and you have to go paint more, and you're like, son of a gun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like the painting idea, just because it, like you said, Nick, if you can't find the colors, it's easier to do that. To me, I like the painted behind clear look. I don't know, just something about it, like it just looks super clean. Not that like the solid color acrylic does not. But when everything is clear faced but color has the color behind it, I don't know, it looks super, super clean to me. But I've only done like 2 projects with acrylic, so I really don't know a whole lot more than what I've done so far. So we'll see what happens down the road. If I can find some of that colored stuff, I'll probably take a trip to the old maker stock and get some of the colored acrylics, because I know they're a really good source for that. Yeah, anyways. But that's what I got going on in the shop. Was there anything else? I thought there was something else I wanted to talk about. Probably not. Probably wasn't important. Yeah, I talked to USPS. I talked about these shadow box things. Yeah, I think that's really it. Just super tired. I feel like I look tired. It's been a long day. Oh, that's what I got to shoot an M4, for free today. It was fun. 196 rounds of goodness. America. It was great. But yeah, that's what's going on in the shop, though. We'll save the New Year's talk for after Josh's shop. So, Josh, what you got going on, man?
Well, I got to clean my shop. Every time I go in there, I just walk right back out. Definitely something to be said about a clean shop. It's very hard to get back in there working when it's dirty. I got my tools all around, hardwood laying on the table. I mean, it's pretty bad.
Hard man doing hard things with hardwood.
So, I got, January stuff coming up. I got to do a shadow box, have a plaque going out. I just got messaged that someone needs to get a hold of me with another project. I have a couple in the queue that I need to get a hold of and talk, what exactly they want for their projects. Still got the trunk in the shop. Haven't heard anything. So we're just waiting on that. Got the 2 shadow boxes, like I was saying. Taxes is coming up. I have to do annual report or something like that, which I have not done yet. So I could be working on that here. And just busy stuff in the shop, trying to got to get in there and clean it up and just kind of organize, get all the trunk stuff kind of set aside. So until that gets worked out, and then I have plenty of jobs that got to get knocked out this month. So with that, pricing, I was talking to someone that's starting a business off base, and they've been coming to me here and there for different projects. I'm like, hey, you need a sign, hit me up. So I might be doing a sign for off base business. We'll see if he chooses me or not. He was hitting at it. So we'll see how that road goes. Be shipping a couple of different things here and there, mostly the shadow boxes I have to get done. Which, of all the things I could be shipping, those are the last ones I want to ship, and it's the ones I ship the most. So Murphy's Law at its best. But, I've been doing the whole, I think it's like $25 for them, the package. And every client that I talk to and explain why that $25 is there, they're all about it. So, hey, you know what? We'll keep going with that and see, any issues in the, in the future. I did get some new tools for the shop for my birthday. And I got a plunge base for my Bosch router that I've been literally I had this tool, this base in my cart for like a year and a half, 2 years. It's one of those tools where like every time I needed it, I was like, oh man, I wish I had it. and then when, I could buy it, I just never bought it because I didn't need it right then. So now I have, a nice plunge base for that. I can't wait to put it to use. I'm sure there will be a project here coming up that will use it. I also got a electronic tape measure that rolls. So my wife, all on her own, thought of this. I've never even considered having one of these, but I could do a whole room and get dimensions from windows. You roll along. There's different profiles you could do, and you just roll it and it measures everything. It's pretty cool. So I haven't really got to use it that much. I'm definitely going to put it to use. Curious accuracy, how that's going to come into play. So we're going to give it a spin out there in the shop. I got another strap clamp, Porty Jorgensen. So with the big boxes and stuff like that, those are a lifesaver. It's almost like having another hand in the shop. Helps pull the joints nice and together. So I'm sitting pretty good with those now. So I mean, I'm prepped and ready for the new year. I've got some new stuff I definitely would like to use. And the jobs coming up, I'm going to get to use them. So I might even have to change around my shadow box after that conversation. Because more and more I think of it, pulling off the front and being able to do it that way is kind of easier for the client.
It seems like a no-brainer at this point. Like that's literally life-changing, I think, for shadow boxes as far as the customer is concerned. For us, it really don't matter either way. But as far as the customer is concerned, I think that's like a night or day difference for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna have to sit down and do that. Too bad I don't do a small one or something, but I have 2 real ones coming up. I don't know if I want to dive into that and change everything right now, but we'll see. We'll see how that plans out. I might be in a situation where it might just work better. So, but yeah, shop's getting busy. It's nice to have things scheduled out. I've lost 1 or 2 cool jobs just because they wanted them earlier and I just can't fit them in the schedule. I have to do the scheduling right now. I can't really do too many last minute jobs. I just I don't have enough time in the day at this point. I'm trying to make it so that I'll be tired, and we all understand that, but not to the point where it's family suffering or the job or anything like that. So trying to do it smart. Hopefully we've learned our lessons throughout previous years, and we'll take those into this new year. So that's really what I got going on in the shop. Basic stuff, cleaning the shop, jobs, some new tools from both the New Year or Christmas and the New Year. And I can't wait to, start making stuff in the shop again and, make my mark again. But with that, let's start talking about what we did in New Year's. Everyone kind of does their own thing. Nap, what do you guys kind of do normally?
Well, so this year was a little uncharacteristic, I think, for our New Year. So the past few years, we did the whole ball drop thing, cool. Yeah. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, woo, yeah, New Year. I call my dad and whatnot because, it's his birthday when New Year hits.
Nice.
So I call him and all that stuff. Kind of weird that you guys share a birthday, right? I think you guys share a birthday.
New Year's Eve.
You're New Year's Eve. Okay. So he's New Year's.
So we're close.
Yeah, close. Same, but different.
We get parties no matter what. So
yeah, we party, but he's 51. He doesn't party like that, and he hadn't partied like that probably since his late 20s, early 30s. He just doesn't do that stuff anymore, And I don't know. I just don't have the want to go out and get wasted, sloshed, smammer faced, on a New Year's Eve, because the next day, and we all know this, the older you get, the harder it is to recover. It's as simple as that. It doesn't matter. I mean, there's tricks out there like drinking a yellow Gatorade or taking a Tylenol before you go to bed and pounding a bottle of water, all those things. But I'm going to tell you what, as you get older, that stuff starts to become ineffective. So we actually just kind of stayed in. We didn't do anything. It was funny. The wife goes, "Oh, hey, honey, Happy New Year." I was like, "Oh, yeah, Happy New Year." It was one of those things. There's really no tradition. I think when Zane gets a little older and he understands it, we'll probably do a little more, just so he can understand. Hey, this is mark of a new year. It's a good thing. It's like starting fresh. Because really, let's just face it. Even though the past is the past, we start a whole fresh year. It's like having a clean slate almost. Starting the new year off. So, we don't do as much as we used to. It's just another day. So that's what we did / do. What about you, Nick?
I have one thing to say to you regarding we're getting older. I'm just playing.
What'd you do?
No, what did you do?
I went hard in the paint,
fell
bro.
asleep.
I went hard in the paint. No, so NPG Creations sponsored the Block fireworks display this year. We had a boatload of fireworks. I'm talking mortars galore, dude.
Did you have snakes and sparklers, the swizzle sticks?
I had whisker do's and whisker don'ts, and
without the swizzle stick.
So I had a bunch of tubes that I had rigged together with fuse, and I would do, I want to say in groups of 25. So, man, it was pretty impressive. Doing different patterns, having different firework displays set up, and it was pretty cool. Kind of wish you guys were here for it because you would have been like, "Wow, that's pretty cool." But so what I had been doing since I got to Texas was I've been collecting mortar tubes for the fireworks because I just reuse them and I'll fuse them all together. And I started messing around with that during during last 4th of July. And then in New Year's, I kind of refined it and I got it to go how I wanted it to go. So that was fun. Didn't really drink too much because I didn't want to burn myself. But after the fireworks were over, I had a few a glass of bourbon and it kind of just relaxed. But the kids loved it. The kids had an absolute blast. Let them have their sparklers and do what they do and their Roman candles and all that stuff. So Other than that, though, I fried a chicken that night in the turkey fryer. So I saved the oil from Thanksgiving for Christmas, and I fried a turkey in Christmas as well, and then I fried a chicken on New Year's.
A chicken in a turkey fryer. Nice.
Well, I mean, I'm getting rid of the oil now, but
No, I just thought it was ironic. You have a turkey fryer, but you fried a chicken.
no, I mean you can fry whatever you want in it. It's just
I know.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't. I felt that like paying $50 for a jug of oil to fry a turkey was ridiculous. So I'm going to get my money's worth out of it, you know?
Yeah, makes sense.
So anyway, if it flies, it dies. Going in the fryer. Anyway, if it fries, it dies.
Unfortunately, if it flies, it dies doesn't apply anymore. The hunting season ended
All right.
January 1st here. So
Anyway.
until April.
That's all. Josh, what did you do?
Well, unfortunately for my wife, it's my birthday, so usually I can navigate those waters and how I kind of want. She's really big on birthdays, always makes every holiday in the house special. I'm more of the Grinch that just kind of wants to stay home and, watch the shows on the TV. And I grew up in a way where we would go to my camp. We have a big bonfire. We talk, have some beers, you know what I'm saying? And that's how we usually bring in the new year. It was with a bunch of family or even a couple, members of the family. But we would be drinking a little bit, but not too much, because at that time of the year, it's hard to get into camp, either walking or, snowmobile or something. And you're probably going to spend the night at camp or head back, and you just got to be careful. So, I mean, for me, that's how I like spending my New Year's, right? So, can't really do too much like that here in Jersey. So, spending with my family, doing cool stuff. Me and the kids and the wife, we went out, did some things, had a good time, came back, before everyone started going out and partying. And then, we had a great dinner. I made some prime rib, one of my favorite cuts of meat. So big old juicy, prime rib, but, simple. So prime rib, baked potato, some broccoli, my oldest made some cupcakes with the wife and, decorated the tops, cause like we're getting older, right? A whole cake that lasts 2 weeks or a week or whatever, just not, no. Couple cupcakes.
Yes.
That's all you need. Everyone gets a little piece. Might have a couple left, for the next day, but that's it. You don't need much.
Now and then.
We all do. And with that, we had we tried to do it with our oldest again, where you watch one of the Netflix, early countdowns, Mickey Mouse, whatever. And it's worked, for most part. This year he was like, but he can read the time now. He knows how to tell time. He looks at the clock and he's like, yeah, that's not the new year. So we talked, we made a deal, you're going to have to sleep in tomorrow, take a nap, whatever. And we let him, watch the ball drop for the first time. So that was a big deal for him and us. Of course, we go to bed late almost every day, so it's usually not a big deal. But of course, when you have to stay up for watching the ball drop, we were exhausted for whatever reason.
Why is that? Like, I don't understand that. Like, you don't want to stay up, but you end up staying up. But then you have to stay up, and you're like, I'm so tired.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is. Because that's basically our bedtime, usually 12, 1 o'clock. So it should be not a big deal, but man, we were dragging. We all slept in the next day for the first time. The whole family slept in. No one woke up early. It was really nice. So yeah, we didn't do too much, which, wasn't too bad. We all got to spend time together. I've actually took time where I wasn't working or wasn't working in the shop, and I got some sleep, which was a big win. I didn't realize how far behind sleep schedule I was until that happened. But yeah, it was a nice, quiet New Year's, called and texted everyone and, wished them a happy New Year's as well. A lot of birthday wishes from Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. So thank you to everyone. If I didn't hit you back right up, sorry. But yeah, it's just one of those simple, I like simple. For me, a gathering of like 5-6 people, good friends, that is the ultimate for me. Going to a huge party and whatnot, not usually what I do, but I make occasions where that we could do that. And I told the wife, once our kids are a little bit older, we can get a babysitter in. She could choose what we do that night, regardless of my birthday or not, because eventually we do want to go to New York City. We want to watch the ball drop there. We want to do it smart. We don't want to have to wait there for 15 hours or anything crazy. So we've already kind of done our research, or she has done the research, and I'm just piggybacking on that. And we make plans for later on. So maybe bring the kids with us, or do it ourselves, and one year bring the kids with us. But yeah, it's for us. It's big. We got Christmas, we have New Year's, my birthday, and we keep busy spending time together, just making memories. So it was a good holiday.
Good. Sounds way more eventful than what the hell I did.
Well, did you at least have champagne?
Homie, when I tell you we did nothing, we did nothing.
Talking to Josh.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, absolutely. Me and the wife had champagne, and I made chocolate milk for my son, and we all cheers and brought in the New Year that way. So
there you go, man. Clink glasses together and popping bottles. So we talked about on the last episode with Joey about our goals for the podcast. But what are the goals for your shop this year?
Me?
Yeah.
For this year, it's easy. Maintain a schedule that's doable for all the changes about to happen. A lot of things that we're going to change for both my business and my family. And with that, I have to ensure that the priorities are in line. But, I want to maintain a good schedule that's easy for myself to reach, but yet doing projects that are different enough where it grows my skill set. I think Nap hit on this a little bit about the podcast goals, but there's still a lot of things I want to learn when it comes to woodworking. I don't know everything by far. I can literally learn something new every time I open a webpage, talk to someone. Even on the podcast, people come up with ideas like Nick did, where it's like, that's a really legit idea. Different perspectives definitely help. So for me, is just continue that journey, learn what I can, and make attainable goals for both the business, family, and my job that allow for everything to be managed to a point where I'm not spending to 4:00 in the morning doing a project, or worried about how much materials are going to cost because they're insane over here. Because pricing for projects is always going to be a thing. Every time I go to my lumber supplier, what I'm saying, I drop a lot of money. So maintaining a price point that my clients will still want the project and I get a profit and get the materials I need, working on that. So diving in that a little bit would be like me going to New Jersey Wood Forever, one of my favorite places to go, probably the best prices I can get around here for any kind of lumber, and get his materials and then just stock up like that and cut it down to the sizes I need, because there's a lot of slabs that come out of here. So, but they're kiln drying. So I've done it before where I bought a lot of lumber from them, and then I kind of cut up in some rough dimensions, and it works so well. And the cherry and the walnut that come out of locally sourced kiln drying wood is far superior from anything you can get from any kind of lumber store. The figure, just the coloration and like how it develops with the different finishes and stuff, it's far superior. So stocking stuff like that. And, if I do end up moving this year, finding a new supplier. So if anything happens, if I do move, I'm hoping it'll be to a cheaper area where I can actually get lumber for much cheaper. But that's kind of like my goals for the year. Maintain reasonable goals, learn more, and, pass it along on the podcast. So, Nick, what about you, man?
I gotta get that damn CNC machine running.
That's a good goal.
No, so honestly, I did some math just now. I saw a post from Full Metal Jacket. They're on Etsy, and they do the American flag shadow box with the United States cutout. That's their original design. But I also do a knockoff of it. I know a few other people that stole that design as well. Just ripped it right off the internet and took it and tried to claim it as their own. But anyway, I joke about it.
We tactfully acquire, sir.
I joke about it. I joke about it because it's
we give
like,
credit where credit's due, though.
It's not copyrighted or anything. It's just it is what it is. But they sold 123 of those this year at $400 a pop. So looking at that, that's $49,200 worth of sales. Now I don't know what they put into theirs or what their overhead costs are, but if I was to just make those, I could make 123 of them. If I was to sell every last one of them, I think that I could probably end up clearing $37,000, something like that, in profit. Now, that being said, I'm not going to get to that point this year. I still have a full-time job, but I do want to be able to continue to become more efficient with my processes and get to a point where I can have a quicker turnaround on some of these things. I would eventually, since some things are more popular, like to have components already built. So all I have to do is customize those components once people get a hold of me and place an order. But that being said, that requires a lot more shop time, and we'll see if I get it this year. Anyway, Nat, what about you?
Well, guys, not really established here, so really just trying to make it this year. Really, honestly, make a name for myself here because I'm more established as far as a shop is concerned than when I was in San Antonio. It's a lot easier for me to say yes to things than it was when I was in San Antonio. I was learning on a very high learning curve when I was there. Like it was like, hey, can you do this? Let me figure it out. Hang on, yes, I can do this. But now in the back of my mind, like, crap, I got to go buy this thing. That's how the laser came about. That's how the bigger CNC came about. That's how a lot of the tools came about, other than Nick telling me, hey, Nap, you should go buy this. But a lot of tools were because I was trying to figure it out. Well, now I have the tools. Now I'm just trying to find my market here, which I have. But I also found other venues. I'm actually going to try and get a stall in this place called it's like a Fourth Avenue something or another market. And It's like a consignment store, and I might get a stall. I'll make like an inventory of cutting boards, coasters, everything North Dakota. Talked to my neighbor, and she said this place like has that kind of stuff, and people eat the stuff up. Like if it's shaped like North Dakota, like the pride here for North Dakota is something special apparently. And I'm not knocking it. Like I just never would have thought people were like, yeah, I love North Dakota. Let me get this cutting board that's shaped like North Dakota. Or let me get this square rectangular cutting board that's got a juice groove shaped like North Dakota. So there might be a side of Naps Naughty Works that batches out a bunch of cutting boards, something I'm not typically into doing because I never thought I would just make cutting boards. But hey, they're not hard to make. Just got to do it. So I'll probably end up gluing a bunch of stuff together and make some cutting boards, make some coasters and whatnot. And then also like what Nick said about making the shadow boxes, but having not just shadow boxes, but other things with components already made. I'm getting to a point now, again, where I'm getting into a lull. So when I make that Hap Arnold shadow box, I think I'm going to make two. I'll have one that I made for that person, and then I'll have another one just on the ready, and I'll put it on Etsy. Etsy, I know I've said I'm going to start it back up for the past couple weeks now. I just haven't had time. Honest, it is definitely, there's an honest effort going to go into that. I just have to get into doing it when I actually have time. With that, also that comes with building an inventory. Whatever I have on Etsy, I'm going to have at least an inventory of 5 or 6 on the ready. So if I say, hey, I have X amount of these shadow boxes, I'm going to have 5 of them. Because at any given point, you could hit a freaking a sales spree where someone's like, oh, I want this, I want one. And then you're like, oh, crap.
I've had it to where people are like, what do you have made? we'll take it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I don't have anything made because I don't make stuff to bench stock.
Yeah. So and there's been a lot of people other than yourselves. Let's say besides you two, my dad. Okay, I hate saying this because when you like say your dad is right, you're just like, damn it, he was right again. Yeah, he did. He did it yet again. It's just one of those things. You should make a stock or an inventory. And then I got my new buddy Jason. Jason, he's been telling me you should make a stock or an inventory. Nick, you've said this. Josh, you've said. All of you guys have been saying this, and I'm just like, yeah, but when am I going to find the effing time to make a stock of things? Well, it's coming up. I really don't have a whole lot of jobs unless randomly something hits me in the face, like a big job hits me, and I'm like, oh, well, now I got to stop making inventory. But
slaps you on your chin.
Yeah, just like that. Yeah.
Leaves a stamp like a mushroom.
But no, on a real note, though, I really need to stop effing around. And I need to start making stuff. Well, I mean, maybe not 5 shadow boxes. That's quite extreme. No, that's a lot of material. But like 2, maybe 3. The one for the customer, and then because you're already making the pieces, just make doubles or triples of them and do it. These little baby shadow boxes have proven that batching them out is super easy and it's fast. Like I made 2 frames in a matter of 30 minutes because I batched them. I did them in steps. I did, okay, I need this size. Boom, 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 boom. Done. Stripped it. Boom, 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 boom. Rabbit, done. Assembly, done. Sanding, done. Painting, done. All of it was in steps. So, yes, building an inventory, making a valiant effort on the Etsy front, because I think that's where a lot of my business is going to come from, where people aren't going to try to haggle a price with me.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a big thing here. A lot of people, and this is no offense to folks, because the wood here is super expensive, and I'm trying not to raise my prices too much, but it still costs me more to make it. So I have to go up a little bit to make sure it's still worth my time.
Dude.
And you have to make sure. People have to understand that, which most do. They do. But a lot of the out-of-staters, it's great because guess what? I don't pay taxes on out-of-state sales because it's not required by North Dakota to do that.
Speaking of like trying to talk you down on prices, I had a not a wing commander, it's a squadron commander. I'm not gonna mention any names or anything like that, but they reached out to me and they were pricing out some annual awards, and they wanted them by like the 15th of this month, and they only needed 12, but they wanted them to be like 20 inches wide by like 10 inches tall with a whole bunch of like, they wanted like acrylic and laser etch and a whole bunch of stuff, right? So I quoted them, and I quoted them about $190 per. It was a GPC purchase, or it was going to be. And they're like, well, why is it so expensive? I'm like, well, I mean, like, that's what it is, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you got to take into account that I have to buy the stuff, then I have to spend my time making this stuff, and then I have to send it to you. And I even include shipping on that, And they're like, yeah, okay. And then they went a different direction, but I'm like, people just don't appreciate the amount of time and effort we put into things and what it takes to put into things. Mm-hmm. They just think wood grows on trees.
Or it just happens overnight and there's no talent or anything put in there, no time.
Well, not only that, I mean, like, or like that we're sitting around waiting on them, like there are only.
Well, that's one thing I keep running into is, people don't realize that's not your full-time job unless they know you or they got your name from someone else that knew you. Like that's not something they know. So
they know. They knew. I know these people. They knew.
Well, okay. So maybe in that case they know.
I knew these people.
They're like,
I mean, like getting random clients from like Etsy and stuff like that. That's one of the reasons, like for the shadow boxes and stuff, like big orders, I like them to call me because then I can start that conversation, get the details easily, maybe even send them an invoice through Square, which I prefer. But I hear you, man. It's definitely a challenge.
Yeah,
I like the batching idea that you guys have produced. It's something that, we've, like Nap already hit on. We've hit on a couple different times. For me personally, having a small shop, storage is an issue. Because if I batch things out, I would know where I'm going to put that. Everything has its place in my shop. As is, I got my recording and printing studio right here. I've tried to reach out to other places and I got told a hard no, but storage, materials, and what is going to sell. We kind of know by now what sells for us. I like to do a couple different, instead of doing batching per se, but like glue ups. So like I know for my facades, if most of them are cherry, right? I do 2 glue ups that will save me a little bit of time, or I can just throw it on the CNC as soon as I get the order, start carving that out and get that going. Or even do the box in the back. Now the box in the back, I had those measurements already done. The angles already, done. I can go ahead and pretty much build that box in the back, but just maybe cut the pieces and set it aside, almost like a kit. So like when I get an order for a cherry facade and whatever other hardwood they like with it, I can go out there and be like, okay, this will produce stripes for me. I already have it, resawed and ready to go, sanded, and just kind of put it together. Hit up mostly the CNC and get that working. So flat packing stuff, little kits that are ready to go that save maybe a day's worth of labor to get things out quicker, I think would be my trajectory for this. That would be the best way for my shop. But I like where this is going because we've gone from last minute orders to doing our orders as we get them to now thinking about, like a true business. Like, hey, what can I do to make it more efficient for both time, the client, and myself? And I think we're going to see a lot of progression this year with all 3 of us and how we manage that due to our experience, the experience that we talk about on here and everyone we talk about on Instagram. So I think that was a good segue into this new year and a good way to wrap up this episode. So Nick, take it away with our sponsors.
Yeah, so huge thank you to our patrons. Happy New Year to everybody who's listening. And we will also want to thank Daniel over at PWN CNC. If you'd like to meet the entire Sawdust Nation podcast crew, we will be arriving at the the Workbench Con in March under the PWN flag. So we will be there and we will be representing PWN CNC and help promoting Daniel's items. So do yourself a favor. If you don't have a dust boot or a spindle kit from PWN, give them a look, pwncnc.com, and use promo code SawdustNation981 for 10% off. And also, we'd like to thank Total Boat for their continued support. If you want that 10% off promo code, slide into our DMs. And also want to thank our affiliates, which would be OhmCheck Laser. Again, if you're looking for that laser to fit your needs, get with us. We can at least help point you in the right direction regarding an OhmCheck, and we can get you squared away. And last but not least, Makerstock.com. If you're looking for 10% off your Makerstock.com order, use promo code Sawdust10, and that'll get you hooked up. So, kick it on over to Nat.
Yeah, hey, so check it out. If you listen to us on the Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, any of those things, go to give us 5 stars. And if you don't give us 5 stars, let us know why. Because we cannot give you that content that you deserve if you don't let us know what you want. I'm trying not to do the same thing, but we can't give you what you want, what you really, really want. So go ahead and give us those 5 stars and feedback because, that's how we give you that content. But if you want to get a hold of us, Josh, how do you get a hold of us?
Instagram. Easy, right? You slide into our DMs at Sawdust Nation Podcast. One of us from the group will get a hold of you. You never know who it is, but the mystery's half the fun, right? And if you want to get a hold of us individually, to slide into our DMs, starting with Nap from Nap's Naughty Works LLC, and Nick from MPG Creations, and myself, Josh, from North Country Woodworking. Not everyone's a social media fan, and we get that. So we have email. You can go ahead and do the same thing at sawdustnationpodcast@gmail.com. Slide in there with an email, talk shop, topic ideas, voicemails, ask questions. That's what we're here for, and that's what we do this podcast for. The ultimate way to be part of the podcast, though, is be a Patreon. We're a Patreon sitting in our chat right now on YouTube, where they get to watch us record live, interact with us, ask questions. It's a great way to be part of the podcast. Don't take my word for it. sign up, see for yourself. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into our final words, starting off with Nap.
It's a new year. The whole cliche new year, new you type thing. I guess, but really it's a new year. Find a better way to improve yourself, improve your shop, improve the way you do things. I know that's what we're going to do here at the Sawdust Nation podcast and between the three different, banners that we fly under. But yeah, keep helping the community though, because that's still a continuous thing. The community only gets stronger the more we help each other out. I know people have reached out to myself, Josh, and Nick on a regular basis, even into this new year, and we will continue to help you as much as we possibly can. So keep taking care of each other, folks, and find that way to improve yourself. Nick, what you got?
Well, like always, take care of yourselves and each other. And remember, folks, if you were born in September, it's pretty safe to assume your parents started out the New Year's with a bang. Josh.
Hell yeah, they did. Thank you for joining us for the 132nd episode of Sawdust Nation podcast. And Happy New Year to everyone joining us this year. It's always been a pleasure to do these podcasts with these two fine gentlemen. And it's going to be one hell of a year for us at Sawdust Nation podcast. And we hope it's the same for you as well. So, tune us in when you're going to work, in the shop, working out, and, go out there and make some sawdust. With that, Sawdust Nation podcast out. See you soon.
Love you all. Bye.
Bye.